Good evening, everyone. It's good to it's good to have us on the call. It's good to have us join our first edition of Talent Talk. Good evening, everyone. It's good to have us on the call. It's good to have us join our first edition of All right, sorry for the technical glitch. Yeah, so we are starting right away. Yeah, so once again, I want to welcome you all for joining us from wherever you are joining us from. All right, sorry for the technical. Hey, sorry, apologies once again. Had to take care of the echo that was happening. Yeah, so we're ready to begin. Yeah, welcome once again from wherever you are joining us from. We know we have people joining us from different places. We have people joining us from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Kenya, and other countries as well. I want to especially welcome you to our first edition of Talent Talk. This is where we get to meet to discuss tech. We invite experts in the tech field to talk to us on some topics, on selected topics. And today we are going to be talking on developing a successful career in tech. We have two experts in the tech industry who will be giving us some knowledge on this topic. Okay, so in order not to waste much time, I will be diving into the first presentation. And okay, so our first presenter is Sophia. So Sophia will be coming up. Sophia, are you there?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay.
I need to share my screen. Hello.
If you put on your video, I can spotlight you.
All right, doing that now. Can you see me?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have Sophia. Sophia is a senior software engineer, and she will be our first presenter for today. Like I mentioned earlier, we are talking on the topic developing a successful career in tech. Yeah, welcome, Sophia. You can have the floor.
All right. Hello, everyone, and good evening. So Today we'll be talking about developing a successful career in tech, particularly targeting those just starting out, newbies, or people that already, have an existing tech career, but you would just really love certain ideas, about proven techniques that you can apply to get better, access better opportunities, also optimize your career for the best case scenario. This conversation will be for you. So I'm going to be talking about 25 to 30 minutes on this before the next speaker, of course, comes in. So, like he did say, I am Sophia Ahoiza Abubakar. I'm a software engineer and a technical product manager. Today we're going to be looking at certain aspects. When you want to look at, how you could develop your successful career, I like to think about things in points, right? There's always a starting point and then destination or a goal we're working towards. And between those 2 points, there are usually processes. So this is what our outline is trying to highlight, how it will be like getting started, the skills you would need to develop, personal branding, soft skills and mentorship, getting your first role, and upskilling. All right, so from the very beginning, from our A, for someone, in tech, most of my examples, I think caveat, most of my examples might lean more towards maybe tech tracks that involve programming or products because of what I do. But whatever I have to say is applicable, whatever track you're in, even if you're in design or you're in a more user facing role like customer experience, or you're in an analytical role, it also applies to you. But most of my examples would usually come from, what I do day to day, which would involve programming, of course. So yeah. Now, to begin, right? So let's say you're an absolute beginner. You're trying to figure out, first of all, because your career needs to start from somewhere. You're not in tech yet, or you're in tech and you want to pivot to another track in tech. Before you start, you need to figure out which is the right sector for me to start, which track. And I put this in here because of my work with people just starting out over the past 5 years. So I'm also a tech educator, and I'm always in positions where people are like, oh my God, I want to transition to tech, but I do not know where to begin. So I feel like career conversation should always start with, okay, how do I figure out where to even start from before I begin to improve or even learn any skill in the first place, right? And if you're in Talent Factory or you're joining this conversation, it means you're also trying to learn a tech skill. So where do you begin? The very first thing is research, right? Research. I always tell anyone that asks me that question, I won't write maybe in my DMs or in a conversation, I won't start telling you, oh, there is front end, there is back end. No. Research is the first. Just go to Google and ask questions that come to mind concerning tech, right? Research it, and then your research should have a destination after a few searches. So first of all, I tell them do a generic search. Something as simple as what is tech in Google, right? If you want to read an article, you want to watch a video, sure. Then you go back and list your goals. Why are you trying to transition to tech? Who is the person you are right now? What existing skills do you have? Where are your strengths? And what is your goal, right? Are you trying to do X, Y, Z? Because there are some persons that just want to learn a tech skill because they have this amazing idea and they want to build the products. That person and someone whose goal is, oh, I intend to work for Microsoft in the next 2 years. They would have different things they would consider when choosing their tracks, right? The person that wants to build a product, if they figure out that their product is going to be an app, there's a high chance they will lean more towards maybe mobile app development as a track, or even product management if they want to learn how to manage products. Then the person that wants to maybe land a role in Microsoft in 2 years, completely different goal. They'll start looking out for, okay, what particular roles does Microsoft hire for every other year? What programming languages do they typically use? And this is just 2 examples out of, I would say, thousands of reasons and goals you would have. So it's very, very unique to every individual, but you must figure out what your goals are. And what your current strength is very important, because I would also assume that someone that wants to start, you're not a baby, you've gone to school or you're in school. you have certain experiences in some things. So you would need leverage. You would need like existing experiences that you can stand on when you are entering into that field. So you need to identify those and how it aligns to the next thing, you're going to. Another example I'll give on that is typically, this is not always the case, but typically creatives, people that draw, artists, people that lean more towards the creative side would find that maybe they would choose tracks like front end or product design because there is an existing proof that that's where their strengths lie, and it's easier for them to translate it into another track, right? So that's all I would say on that. So I could take more questions when it goes because of time. All right, now the second thing is consider the learning curve. Learning curve also ties down to your strengths. Yes, everything is learnable. Anybody can learn anything, but there are some things that are easier for me to learn, right? Not that it's not hard or it's going to just be a smooth ride, but there are some things that are just easier for Sophia to learn, and there's some things that are very difficult for me to learn. Okay, so again, it ties to my goal. So you have to consider the learning curve. Are you planning to learn this skill? Maybe you have a timeline, there is like an entire plan, and you realize that if you do A, it's going to require a deeper or higher learning curve for you. Okay, not necessarily the track, because I also say there is no tech track that is simple. It just depends on where the individual is coming from and where their existing strength lies. So you need to start thinking about what the learning curve will look like. Okay, and then what access to, like, what resources you have. Very good example I like to give is, say someone reaches out to me like, oh, I want to learn game development, right? And I'm like, okay, you're going to need a very good laptop, right? With very solid RAM and graphics card to get started. Now, why that might be your dream, if you do not have that resource right now, you're going to be struggling. And that's not, I personally feel that if you can avoid some unnecessary struggles, you should. So I would tell such persons that, okay, do you want to consider other tracks that align best with the existing resources that you have? There is always room in the future to like explore other roles as you advance in your career. So check what the learning curve is, what resources you have available to take advantage of. And importantly, if roles exist within your scope or certain communities or a global community that you have access to, that you have identified that people are hiring for that particular track, especially if that is your end goal, okay? The next thing is, once you've figured this part out, at this point, you have locked down what track you want to focus on. You would have to go get the curriculum. Even if you're going through boot camp route or self-paced learning, there's so many free open source version of curriculums. Go and look through it. It also gives you an idea at a glance what your journey might look like learning that skill. Then go look for a reputable boot camp, or if you want to do self-paced learning, it also works, and get enrolled and get started. And I added this too because of, again, from experience, what happens when people start learning the skill. Okay, so let's use this, our hypothetical character finally decided that the right track for them is front-end development, for example. And they get into learning. Typical things I hear, or even when they want to choose bootcamp, is, oh my God, I don't think I'm going to be able to learn this thing well because my classes are online. Oh my God, I don't think I'll be able to develop my skills very well because it just seems so hard and everything they're saying doesn't make sense, right? And then the third thing is people quit, like real life things that happen. People quit the very first task they are given, all right? To me, an experienced person, those tasks, they are easy, but I understand how difficult it can be for someone that is just starting out. Like, quit. I could literally give them a task and like, do this, get back to me in 2 weeks. And 80 to 90% of the time, people just stop at that point. And what I have, identified as the major cause of this, because I want you to succeed. I want you to start learning and see to the end. The major cause is how we approach learning, okay? And there's a whole lot to say about this particular thing. But what I want to say is everything you knew about how to learn, drop it, throw it away, especially as it pertains to tech. The first thing is, of course, you will not understand a lot of things. If you did, you will not be here, right? The second thing is, especially if you're Nigerian, you'll be used to the learning model of you sit down and somebody is just dumping information on you, and maybe you memorize and you're expected to explain back. Now that cannot work because tech is like a skilled area. It's not blue collar, but it could. You cannot become a carpenter, for example, by learning how to define wood or nail. You become a carpenter by actually knowing how to like do it, okay? And then that way of learning by doing and practicality, and also being aware that you not understanding a lot of things from the get-go shouldn't be a stumbling block, is something to do. So because I've dwelt so much on this, what I'll just say is you need to learn how to learn. And one more thing, don't limit yourself. Again, I think this is personal opinion and bias on my end, but I still stand by it. There is nothing like I'm a visual learner, I'm a written words learner, I'm an in-person learner. No, you are a learner, full stop. And you will do all that it takes to learn. The reason is if you start limiting yourself to certain scopes, right from the beginning of your career, it's going to be a big problem, especially in an area like tech, where you continue learning. Like this learning path never ends. You keep learning. If you say you can only learn with videos, what if you're working on a product and there's a package you're using and there's only documentation that is available? Are you going to pause working on that feature and wait until somebody does a video tutorial for you? If you say you can only work in person, what happens when you need to like work virtually or remote with people, right? So the space of learning is where you really, really begin to harness a lot of skills that would help you in the long run. All right, let me check time. So I think I actually need to pick up the pace. All right, so the next thing is in developing your skills, like I said earlier, your theoretical knowledge, certifications, etc. They are important, yes. But what is relevant in your career is proof of work. Proof of work is extremely important. What have you built and how does it accurately represent your skill set? You do not just build things just because. It has to correctly represent the skill sets that you have. Now, practice. I did touch on some of these while I was like explaining, so I'll just read it out. Practice, you need to build your, what is it called? Fundamental points to success in any track you choose in tech for your career is lots of building, lots of practice. It's part of your learning process that will absolutely never end. You have to keep practicing concepts and you have to learn this by working on projects. Write and talk about the things you learn and build. These would help you retain information better. And you'll also be doing other people a favor because they can learn from your resource, okay? And then documentation is important. As I grew in my career, okay, I was able to see certain things that were done at work, projects or certain roles, because like technical documentation and writing is an actual role, but they have a huge place in an individual adopting those things into their personal practices for you to be successful. Emphasis on successful. If you don't just want to do things just because, you need to document the whys, the hows, what you're doing. You don't just put together a portfolio, for instance, and it's just your project. What was the reasoning behind it? Let people into how it was done. How did you handle your engineering decisions? And why is this one appropriate for you in doing this project and not the other? Okay. If I had enough time, I'll deep dive into how that benefits you. But take my word for it, it does. Open source. Now, when you're building and you do your practice projects, normally we do calculator app, to do app. Yes, they have their space, but also look for an open source project that you care about and contribute. What do you get? You get like real life experience, because this is project that people use. You also get experience working on an existing large code base. Again, I'm so sorry that I'm using lots of programming people here, but maybe there's like a design equivalent. So you get to work with people and it's going to look good on your resume, because at this point where we are in, this is our roadmap, you're most likely going to be looking for jobs soon. Okay, so open source. This one, controversial, branding, okay? Like personal branding and the whole shebang. Now, oh, sorry, hold on. I just noticed somebody is trying to join the meeting room. Lawrence, are you good? Okay, I can't hear you, so I'll assume all good. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is branding. And no matter how you want to say it, okay, when we say successful career, what exactly do we mean? It means whatever goals you set for yourself, for your career, you get to achieve them. Most times, the realization of such goals lie with other people, a company you want to work for, some people you want to collaborate with. Your product you're building, we shall have final users, right? The common factor here is that your success is tied to a lot of external people besides you. Now, how do they find you? How do they know that Mr. John is an absolutely amazing backend engineer, right? Yes, he's like a 10x dev. He's in his room, he's building stuff, he is impeccable. How does Jane in Lagos, when Emeka is in Enugu, or even in the same Lagos, that is looking for someone with the exact skill set of Emeka, find John, find him, if he did not make provision for him to be found? So this is the next step in your career. And you see, I put this after skill acquisition because we have a lot of fraudulent people out there that just, they're just empty drums. They focus more on the branding aspect because it's cute. It does require work, but it's the fun part, and they don't have the skill to match it. And they get the jobs, mind you. So you that is putting in the work and you're going to learn this skill, you have to put yourself out there. My friend said you have to carry your skills on your head like this and hawk it. Make sure everybody knows you know what you do and you're good at it. All right. So I did right here. It's commendable that you have gained the skills, but opportunities can be lost if you do not communicate your badass abilities properly through branding. So that's what branding is. So I put in here, like, what will I see if I Google your name? Like a huge part of the world right now is online. Since I started my career, lots of the opportunities I've gotten, work relationships that I've built, or even general relationships that I have formed that have benefited my career massively, emphasis on massively. I met these people online, but these are people that on a normal day, I will not just be walking on the road and jam them. For context, the very first year when I started my tech journey, I was writing as I was building. So I was using React, and I was writing lots of articles and also tweeting about some of the projects I'm doing and some of the things that I found that I'm like, hey, this could be improved on, and I built this thing for you to do. It's just generally sharing. And one of the persons that worked on React, people that actually made it, their core team, followed my account, liked it, and started interacting with me, right? If I didn't share it, where is he supposed to find me? Do you get? It was such a very good relationship where I could even DM him. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to do this. What do you think? And this is just one out of many people. Apart from maybe someone that's senior and that advanced, I'll meet my peers. I'll meet people doing the same thing I'm doing. And they'll give me information. Be like, yo, Sophie, I know you're good at this. I saw this somewhere, and it's going to help you. Okay. So these are the external factors you need to attract to yourself. And you do it by setting a credible professional online presence. Okay. Create and manage professional social media accounts that correctly do not tell lies. Do not put up a portfolio that doesn't belong to you. It should be accurate, and update your LinkedIn properly. LinkedIn is another gold mine. Build a portfolio, have something somewhere. It should be your GitHub. You don't have to build an entire website, but it should be a one-stop shop where people can see what you've done and how you've applied your skills over time. Have a blog. You don't have to be an amazing writer. Just the way it is in your head, write it. People discover you via your writings as well. You would notice that every time you run into a problem and you go to Google, you find articles. Those articles did not fall from the sky. I don't know if any other person do it, and I believe other senior engineers or managers will do it as well. If I find a very good article online, I go find out who the author is. I'll click on their name, I'll research on them. Sometimes I connect, right? So imagine I'm someone hiring, or I'm someone looking for who to collaborate with, and I find such quality blog and podcast and contributions, I would do it. You're not doing this as your career. So you're not a content creator. You're just doing it as a form of visibility and a discoverability tool for yourself. Share everything you're working on. Give updates on your personal projects. You had a problem in your life and you're using your skills to build something to solve it. Share, right? You need people in your circle, people beyond your circle to know that you're doing stuff. You be top of mind, okay? Ensure people do not forget that you're amazing. Now, the next stop or the next infinity stone you need in your journey is soft skills and mentorship. So, in my career as well, I've had opportunities to interview people, especially when it comes to like roles. And I find, especially devs and engineers, that a lot of persons struggle with interviewing because of what they lack in soft skills. And this is a key part in your career success because you want to land the job. And beyond just landing the job, you would want to be able to work with people. You're not going to work alone now. You're going to collaborate with other people to do stuff. Soft skills and mentorship, I put them in the same category. On one hand, your soft skills help you be a bearable person to work with and also help you communicate correctly your amazing self. And then mentorship, on the other hand, we'll talk about that. So the soft skills that I listed, I won't go deep dive. I'll just assume that these are clear and you could possibly research for that because of time. So communication, you have to learn and perfect your presentation, problem solving, report writing skills, gain a lot of emotional intelligence and collaboration skills because again, you'll be working with people and not machines. Sales and marketing, this is the one I'm going to talk about because it's an unusual thing to see when it comes to soft skills. You're not learning sales and marketing or going to take a course in sales and marketing to sell a product. You're finessing and fine-tuning your sales and marketing skills because as an individual in the workspace, in the career space, you are selling yourself every single time. And if you're not, you're doing it wrong. Okay, you're selling yourself. Every single way you communicate, every single way you present yourself is a form of selling, marketing. It's like you're on, if the career is an e-commerce website, you're one of the products there. So you need to perfect that. You need to perfect how you sell yourself. So that's all I'll say there, just so you're not confused as to why sales and marketing is in soft skills for someone trying to build their career. Now, I did say something that complements that is mentorship, okay? You need people that have been there before to guide you, but not guide you in the way that you're just holding your hands and then you want somebody to like literally carry you like this and baby you to your destination. But experience, they say, is the best teacher, but it doesn't have to be your own experience. It can be other people's experiences and it to help you move faster. There is no point making the same mistakes other people have made when you could have avoided it if they just told you. And apart from mistakes, they'll also give you tips and tricks that make you do things better. Again, when I finished, just I think 1 year into my career, one thing that helped me for life that I'm grateful for is when I interned with a company and I had an amazing senior engineer that was my mentor. I didn't tell him, I'll come and mentor me. He just took particular interest in me and was mentoring me. My skills went up like fast. Not because he was babying me, but because he was able to trust me to give me certain responsibilities. And we did pair programming. That's for those people coding. And I will see him do certain things. I'm like, oh, I could do that. Oh, you could do this. All those things build up to help you skill up faster, right? And just be overall better. There are some things that those guys and ladies have learned by experience that you can only gain when they mentor you, okay? And I'm pretty sure Talent Factory also offers this. So you need an experienced senior in your field, someone that has also worked similar organizations or things that you seek to explore, somebody with proven mentorship skills, because not every senior is a good mentor. Someone that is invested enough to care about your growth and then, of course, have access to valuable information, people, and pointers. Because another thing that you get by extension through your mentors is and extended access to their own networks and relationships and information that they have. Now, the fourth thing is, like I said when I started, is learning never stops. When you finally get your role, you're working now, how do you keep going? Upskilling. You have to keep learning. You have to keep updating yourself. You need to actually, like in your schedule, carve out time for learning. Part of the things I do almost every day is I am subscribed to some very important, I consider them important engineering blogs, because of my role, engineering and product blogs that I try to read. I follow products that I find interesting and read their updated blogs on what they are working on, how they are making certain decisions and all that. So it could be passive learning like that, and it could be active, continuous learning where you are actually like, oh, there is a new thing within my scope. Maybe you're a mobile app developer and you do Kotlin, and there is a new thing like, okay, let me try and apply this to a project. You need to stay relevant. You need to remain valuable to yourself and to your team. And you do this through continuous development and upskilling. So what I do have here is, also, when it comes to continuous development, I would like to say that it doesn't only tie to just learning. Continuous development in terms of you're already working and how to keep going up your career ladder. So this is both of them combined. So what I have here is be fully aware of your responsibilities and record your contributions and its impact in the company. It's not when you are looking for a new role, you start dusting up your paper and like, okay, let me write a CV. Actively in real time track what you're working on and how you're impacting the company. That personal review also help you internally to know where you're lacking, where to improve, and also where you're just doing amaze balls and toot your own horn. Also note that while you're looking for a job, you can't just work anywhere, right? You need to only work in places that align with your career goals. So you do not wake up one day and be like, yes, I have 5 years experience, but those 5 years are not valuable experiences because you're just whiling away time, or you're working in a place that does not contribute to your career goals. All right. Money is important, but its impact that is going to sustain you. Okay. A lot of times you're chasing the money. You're not chasing the money, you're chasing value, you're chasing impact. Always. A valuable person will always be sought after. Always. Think about it. If you had $1,000 right now and you're looking for somebody to build a website for you, would you just give it to anybody? This person is nice, let me give them. No, you would seek for who has value, who has proof that they will do this thing excellently well. Pursue excellence, pursue impact, and then the money will come, or other things you would love to get out of it will come. I did mention keep learning. Then you also need to have business management and financial knowledge skills. It's not only for entrepreneurs. This is one of the things that as you progress in your career, you should actually invest in learning. But I feel like this part would be helpful currently to those that are already intermediate devs or you're already working. But for those that are just starting now, this wouldn't be your worry now, but it's just things to have in the back burner. Like, okay, I should pay attention to this when I get to this point in my career. Avoid burnouts. You always have to look for sustainable ways to do things. I understand the pressure, okay? And I also want to say that trying to be successful does not mean that you start benchmarking yourself against people that have more experience than you. For example, you just started learning today and you want to become like Lawrence in 6 months. Lawrence, you're seeing is the result of a decade of work and investment. There's nothing you're going to do to get it overnight, right? So part of the things that causes burnout is I see people that are starting on like, oh my God, in 6 months, I want to do this, I want to do that. And you're not getting good sleep, you're not eating right, you're forming terrible habits. It's going to affect your health and your mental capacity in the long run. The skill you're trying to learn is very, very mentally demanding. You use more of your brains to do stuff. So you need to take care of that. You need to look for sustainable ways to do things. So like I said there, take care of yourself, celebrate your wins and stay healthy. You know, your mind and your body is like your greatest asset. You do not want to mess it up, right? Okay, so I think I'll end by saying that it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You have to take it easy, stay jiggy, and be involved in the process and take it like one step at a time. All right, so I don't know, Lawrence, if we'll be able to take questions or not, but if you want to connect with me, yeah, you could do that. And I also think that maybe you might take the questions at the end. I don't know. Lawrence, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so yeah, we take some questions. We have a session for questions, and that will come after the second presentation.
All right.
Thank
Stop.
you. Thanks so much. Thanks a lot. Yeah, that was an amazing presentation. That was an amazing presentation. I took notes as well.
No, I see you there whining me. Okay.
Yeah, so just to just to go over the highlights, there are some key points I noted down while the presentation was going on. Maybe just to do a summary so that especially for those that join later. Uh, we spoke about doing research. So if you want to get started, you have to do your research. It's very important. Whatever journey you want to take, I mean, when you want to take a journey, you have to know what you are getting yourself into. It's very important. You don't just jump on something without knowing details, right? So do your research is very important. Know your learning curve. Whatever you want to learn, the different tech stacks have their learning curve. Some are more difficult than others. Yeah, so you need to know all this before you get started. Learn how to learn. That was that was strong, right? You have to learn how to learn, right? It's very important. Learning the right way is very important, right? For you to be able to make good progress as you develop your career. Then you have to write and talk about the things you are learning. Now, one thing we're doing that is it get to stick, right? So when you are talking about what you are learning, it just sticks. Even some things that I would have forgotten easily, you remember that I wrote about this thing some time ago, and it becomes more, I mean, it becomes part of you, right? So that's an important point. You have to practice. Yeah, practice, practice, practice. Yes, it's saying that this makes perfect. So what to master. Then and online presence, you have to build your online presence. That's very important. Build your portfolio, create a blog. You have to develop your soft skills as well, communication, presentation, selling, the ability to sell. All that is important. And you should get a mentor. And I think the last thing on my list here is upskill, right? So when you learn, you don't just stop learning. You continue to upskill, you continue to learn, you continue to become better in whatever path you have chosen. Yeah, thanks a lot. So that was a massive one. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
All right. So apologies, Sophia. I think at the beginning we had some technical issues. So I will just read out her profile for those that want to know more about her. Yeah, so Sophia is a visionary software engineer and product manager with robust experience building scalable solutions and leading software teams to achieve set goals and objectives. She is a software engineer at Quantum X Ventures and AI Venture Lab, technical product manager at both, and founder of Azi Games, an innovative game company that is redesigning tech education in Africa. She successfully managed technical teams at Dabo Inc. and Tabi and ADA efficiently with visible, measurable impact through steady growth and significant milestones. She's equally passionate about active community participation through open source contribution, mentoring and tutoring across several tech communities globally. She currently contributes to Code First Girls UK as a lead full stack instructor. She's an avid learner and will jump on any opportunity to learn something new and go out of her way to find solutions to problems. All right, so that is Sophia. And once again, thanks for that amazing presentation. I think she shared her contact as well towards the end of the presentation for those that want to connect with her on social media. You can do that, right? Okay, so we have a second presenter in the house, but before we do that, I believe that a lot of persons are asking questions. What is Talent Factory? You want to know what Talent Factory is about. Yeah, so basically, if you want to take your career to the next level in tech industry, of course, we are here talking about tech, how to develop a career, a successful career in tech. So if I believe that for you to join the call or to join the event, you have interest in developing a career in tech. All right. So for you to take your career to the next level in the tech industry, Talent Factory is just the perfect place for you. Whether you want to master the art of software engineering, product design, AI, robotics, data analysis, or cybersecurity, Talent Factory is your gateway to success. So at Talent Factory, our courses are affordable. We offer affordable programs with as little as $25. You can develop a successful career in tech. You can get started with as low as $25. And our learning is quite flexible. No matter your schedule, you can learn efficiently at Talent Factory. And our teaching methodology, will work a lot on practical projects. So when you learn with Talent Factory, you get to work on projects and you get some practical skills. And you also stand a chance to be part of a global community of learners, of professionals, and you also have like global opportunities. We have partners who you can we have a talent pool and we have partners who hire from this talent pool, right? That's one of the benefits of being part of Talent Factory. So, this is to call on you if you want to learn, you want to develop your tech skills, you want to advance your tech skills. You can sign up on talentfactory.io. The link, we are going to share the link on YouTube in the comment section. So you can click on the link or you can type talentfactory.io and sign up to start learning. All right, thank you once again. So we are going to go straight into the next session. And we have the second presenter in the house as well. So the the second presenter is Angela Oladapo. So Angela Oladapo is an engineering lead at Nomad Music and community lead at GDG Lisbon. He's a software engineer with experience spanning across industries such as digital banking, fintech, loans, and IT services across Europe, US, and African markets. He's an expert in software development processes and delivers scalable, high-performance systems. High-performance systems. Currently an engineering lead at Nomad Music. Oladapo has led initiatives that drove significant impact on business goals. He has demonstrated expertise in improving system performance, architecting resilient infrastructure, and mentoring engineering teams. His passion for excellence is reflected in his ability to deliver projects and exceed business objectives while maintaining coding standards and system reliability. In addition to his technical prowess, Oladapo excels in cross-functional collaboration, communication, and leadership. So we'll be having Oladapo join us on stage to take his presentation. Are you there, Angela?
Yes, I am.
All right. You're welcome. It's good to
Yeah,
have you on.
it's a pleasure to be here. Many thanks to Sophia for the great intro on the first session. Well, it's quite so much that you can learn from different parties and in different teams as well. Thank you very much, Lawrence. I'll just go ahead to share my screen with you. Okay. Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, my name is Oladapo Angelaya. I dabble into software development and also community. Uh, yeah, I would be speaking today more about the topic we have at hand, which is what it takes to develop a successful career in tech. All right. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is why tech in the first place? Why do you want to learn tech? Why do you want to choose tech to learn? Is there a particular reason you have in mind? Because today we have a lot of people that just dabble into things because of pressure, right? Because of what they've been told, or they are making a lot of money here, or whatever it is. But the first thing you need to high on out is you need to learn tech for the right reason. And the right reason is you want to solve problems, or you are naturally curious about how systems work. If you don't have that first mindset about the kind of system you want to build, about the kind of mindset or approach you want to take, trust me, you would rush in and rush out. So a couple of reasons why you should choose tech, I highlighted some of it: rapid growing industry, the high earning potentials, the diverse career paths, and the opportunity for innovation. So my first exposure to tech was way, way back, and I was way younger then. And it was as simple as it was as simple as building a simple web page that that had a marquee tag that scrolled welcome to my website. That was something very exciting because firsthand, as at that time, we didn't have many websites that does things like that. But just the marquee tag alone was what like really inspired me to take a career in tech. And yeah, journey so far has been really exciting. So to deep dive a little into my experience, I spent a couple of time working in different markets and industry. And the first thing I would say is that you first need to have the mindset of a learner. And the mindset of a learner means you must be willing to learn and you must be willing to teach, right? There's no such thing as a perfect first job in tech, right? A lot of people share their mates about what their first salaries look like. For me, it was like, I think 30,000 naira, and that's on global standard is like, let's say $16 at current market rates, right? But I mean, that was not the major motivating factor. The major motivating factor should be the impact you're willing to create and where you see yourself in quite some times, right? Another thing is further down the mission, you want to also see yourself building systems that impact millions of lives. And that's one thing that brings some sort of fulfillment when you want to decide to take a tech career, right? Just imagine engineers who architected PayPal today and the kind of impact that has had without payment is collected globally, right? It's something that truly is a life worth living for. And the most important part of starting your journey is transitioning to becoming a founder. And you will do this within your first 2 years of dabbling into tech. You will become a founder because you need to solve problems. And like Sophia highlighted earlier, the best way to learn is to build. So you find yourself building many startups and many things and maybe not have a direction yet. And that's perfectly fine and okay. It's okay to not like know where you're headed yet or know where you're going yet, but just show up every day. That's the mantra. If you keep showing up, trust me, you would finally figure out where your headway is going to be. My own pathway was not really a straight one. I didn't just wake up and say, hey, I wanted to start backend, and I just started doing backend. I dabbled into a couple of things. I did Android graphics, I did GIS designs, I did this, I did that. I mean, I played with a lot of stuff, and it's perfectly okay to play with stuff, try to figure things out for your own, and just take it at your own time. But just keep showing up, right? Be confident with the founder mentality, be confident to start up something and to naturally try to solve a problem. Because when you try to solve a problem, one thing you will do in the process is you will learn a lot about a market. And that will be very helpful with the next role you're going to get or the next set of interviews you're going to do, or whether you're going to pivot from that particular startup to a YC company. I mean, like today we have a lot of guys that transition from this point in their high school or in their university, college, to straight up going into YC companies because they were building something that really had so much impact on what we were doing and where we're actually heading. Like think about how things like remote work was looked at, how things like Zoom meetings were looked at some years ago. This is actually like a very viable solution and all. Yeah, so the most important thing I would like to say when I explain or when I teach or when I tell people things is I always try to abstract it to the context of building, right? Growing up, I spent a lot of time inspecting sites, and because my father was a contractor, so I spent a lot of times going to building sites and observing what they do. So whenever I explain programming concepts, I love to always talk about it from a point of building. So the first thing you need to think about is having a strong foundation. And foundation is what makes you know or what makes you have a long life career in tech. You need to understand the core of what you want to build your foundation on. You're not just going to, it's like someone who skipped programming and just learned CSS to start coloring. You won't start the building by buying paint first. The first thing you need to do is, of course, set the foundation, which is the most important part of it. You need to feel. You need to feel. And in the course of feeling involves those knowledge gaps that you think you know that you don't know. So learning a core programming language. And by learning a core programming language, I'm not talking about learning maybe HTML or XML or whatever. I'm talking about learning an actual programming language. It's always very crucial. It's always very critical to understanding if you even have flair for the kind of technology you want to learn or the kind of career you want to dabble into. So learning a language will expose you to the viabilities of the ecosystem, what is attainable and what isn't. Then the next thing you want to think about is having a strong lintel. So if you know what lintel is in building, it's like a support system for you to build. So I built this slide with the mindset of if I was to start over again, what would I wanted to know? And that's what I'm sharing with you. So I want to know that I need a foundation. I need to learn a language first, and I need a lintel. And that lintel is the computer science fundamentals. I can relate that 90% of people that want to take a course in tech didn't actually study computer science, right? Personally, I didn't too. But one thing you would most likely want to do is to understand the basics of computer science, like fundamentals of algorithm and data structures. I could recall that Harvard University had a course called CS50 many, many years ago, where they, detailed things like algorithm, data structures. It was quite helpful for getting like the lintel structure of what you want to do up, and then you can build from there. When you have a good foundation and you have lintel, you just become a 10x engineer. It's very faster for you to have 3 years of experience as a developer and think of yourself like a mid-level engineer, or think of yourself like, oh yeah, I can build stuff, right? Then you need to have a pathway. After you have a lintel, when you have your lintels in place, then you want to start building the mansions, you want to start building more floors, you want to start carving out more things and all that. So you need to focus on problem solving, critical thinking. You can go as far as the most minute processes within your environment, right? The most minute things like checking at your gate, at your compound in the house, how visitors do check-in, building a simple app that the security guys can use to do that, sends an alert to the other phone. It could be anything as basic as that. and trying to solve a problem for that. Because when you try to do that, or when you try to have a pathway, then you will try to create a stack. So I would necessarily not say that go and look at companies and study the stacks that they do, but I would recommend that you think about the problem you want to solve and you drive towards the stack, or you drive towards what is attainable, but you drive towards the technologies you can adopt to build for that, because technologies are just tools, to be honest. They will always change. And today we can have Google saying C++ and Go. Tomorrow it can be Scala. It can be anything at all. And you would understand this if you've been around for 10 years. There was a time I was very excited about jQuery. I thought my problems were going to end in JavaScript. Well, I mean, it is what it is. That's old story now. So you need to have that mindset that it's also always going to evolve, but you always need to also think about that pathway and have a foundation to go with it. I wouldn't want to do so much repetition because Sophia had covered most of it. But yeah, I would skip this for now. I think we have a trivia at the end of it. But most importantly, I would say stay curious, keep learning. When you learn, you are able to apply more of it to what you do, right? And learning doesn't essentially restrict you to a track. Like, for example, you have a backend track. You're doing Postgres, you're doing Go, you're doing different things, right? But then again, you got a project and you need to implement something and you needed to use a front end. I mean, you could quickly spin up a Tailwind course to do that. You need to be able to be flexible, and you have to be able to adapt to how the tech ecosystem changes, because requirement changes every day. Today, I consult for a medical AI company, and one of the things that happens every day is how things evolve. For example, the models that we are talking to, the kind of libraries that we need to integrate, right? New things would always come in place, and you need to stay at the edge of that. There was an era where people believed that PHP was the core of the web and it wasn't going to go away. But then it became archaic, and then there were new technologies. I mean, it still powers most of the web, but then again, JavaScript is doing really good work, and you can see that there's an innovation scheme as well towards that part. If you want to end good, if you want to stay relevant, you need to stay curious, you need to keep learning, you need to keep putting yourself out there, which is like the most important part of it. So I would always say that the most important skill set you can ever have is how to speak. So largely your success might not even necessarily be determined by how great your program works or how good your code is, but it could be good by how, or it could be rated by how well you know how to communicate your thoughts and your ideas. And this is something that many engineers lack at diverse places. They are great with the code, but they aren't sure of how to communicate this. So Stanford University has something called How to Speak. It's a course, it's on YouTube, you can check it out. It's a 1 hour video by an old professor, but trust me, it's really helpful with how to convey your ideas, how to keep someone engrossed, how to active listening in some way. Because if you have an exciting thing you're building, but you don't know how to sell it, it's not exciting anymore. It's just another thing entirely. But if you know how to speak about it, which was what Sophia detailed on when she talked about marketing, is you need to know how to sell yourself and how to put yourself out there. So if you can put yourself out there properly, if you can sell yourself right way, and trust me, it's going to be like a very great career path for you in terms of compensation, in terms of growth track, in terms of things like promotions and getting to the next level of your career. So you think about starting as a junior today or an intern, and then you want to be mid-level, or you want to be architect, or you want to be principal. In some years, you need to do this by learning how to speak. I've seen people that were in the space for just 2 years and they became team leads. Basically, they were able to effectively communicate the thoughts. They were able to own the ideas, and curiosity sparks innovation. If you're not curious about how something works, you will never actually learn about it. So let's say you enrolled for a course at Talent Factory. After a year, you go into the pipeline, and you got one of the talent factory partners to hire you, one of the things that would be your first problems would be working with the team. And not working with the team in terms of collaborating with the team. It will be taking ownership. That's what makes you stand out as a talent in the pool. That's what makes you have a successful career path, is having some level of ownership. So if you join a team today, one of the major things you need to do is to own the product. Think of it like, okay, when I want to make a decision to start working here, I want to own this. I want to think about it like my vision. I want to visualize it beyond this. I want to be able to iterate on it as much as possible. I want to collect feedbacks on it. I want to go out of scope of work and do things outside of work to ensure that this thing is going like it should be going. Do you understand? Those are like the exact mindsets that you want to have when you join a team or when you're working on something. And very effective, but don't always put money first when you are trying to start out a project or you're trying to start out working. It's always very important to put impact first, experience first, right? It's very effective that way for you to be able to leverage. So when you do that, then you can have some leverage because now you already understand the system, now you already know what's going on, and now you've already added some form of value to yourself. So in essence, curiosity and the learning mindset is the core track of it. And it doesn't end at becoming a senior or becoming a mid-level. It keeps on going on and on, and even to further networks like collaborating with developers on a global scale, right? And one thing I would say as a personal note of feedback after collaborating with many developers in the EU is that a lot of people struggle with one thing, and it's communication. And it's a edge that you're going to have if you can master it. So that detours towards something called soft skills. Uh, if you have good soft skills like communication, it essentially helps you to be able to stand out. So think about it like you have a metric. There's a metric of, can this guy code? Then the next metric is, can this guy communicate his ideas well? But I mean, with AI, a lot of things are getting really automated and really fast. So some learning tracks can even be skipped. But I would always like to say, build the foundations very good, regardless of how much automation is coming into place and how redundant things will be in the next coming years. So network and seek mentorship, very important. If you don't network, you don't meet new people. And if you don't meet new people, you don't get to work on no projects, right? Think about someone who is a developer in Eswatini. That's a landlocked area between South Africa and I think yeah, it's a landlocked area between South Africa. And then that person is just really there. They aren't coming out, they aren't interacting, they're just doing the code stuff. And then they are not connecting with anybody. There's no way that there's going to be any form of visibility to their work. What they do is just going to be them always in their shell, always doing that. Trust me, you don't want to know how many good developers we have today that don't have visibility or that don't have the right way to put themselves out there. And that's because they failed at one thing, which is selling themselves. They failed at connecting, they failed at doing this. But how can you do this? It's very important. I'm an advocate for Google Developers Group in Europe, but also partly also here in Lagos as well. I think there are GDGs in Lagos, developer groups. These are very helpful meetups that helps facilitate bonding, connection with other people in the ecosystem, and also seeking mentorship and all that. I was at the DevFest Lagos, and I met a couple of people there. A lot of people who were naturally curious, and this is really helpful to whoever is starting out their career. The meetups are the most important part. I mean, when you are like autopilot and you're AY, you can skip the meetups if you want, but at the early stage of starting out or building out your career path, you need to network as much as possible. You need to have friends that do the same thing. So it's very important you keep a circle of people that do what you do. You can't be into backend or you can't be into DevOps, for example, and then all your circle, they are like people that are into modeling. Trust me, it's going to be a matter of time, but you get naturally unmotivated if that's the right word I'm using, I'm not sure. You will just lose your motivation anyways, and maybe you also go into modeling. So you need to keep friends that do the same thing. They say like minds connect, you get. So you need to have people of like minds within your circle. Try to bring them together. The best stories I know about friends that did or built the best things are a group of people that were college friends that stayed together and they build products together. It's faster to grow when you have people holding your hands. That's why a relay race is always faster when they have multiple people running it than you have just one person doing it. That's why marathons end slower and relay races end faster. So you can't take out what teamwork does. It helps you build teams. You don't have to go all full stack because you want to do an idea or you want to implement a solution. You can essentially do that. So you can start as small as talking to people within your circle and saying, yo, you are doing front end, I'm doing data science. Let's think about this, let's implement this, let's do this, and set up a small thing. You started the startup indirectly, you don't know it yet, but if your problem is actually viable, you might not even need to find a job after that. And that's the most important thing right now is that a lot of people globally don't think about finding jobs. They think about building startups and building companies. And because in the process, trust me, you might fail at it. But one thing you will do is you will learn. I feel that a couple of things I've built in the past, but one thing that you constantly do within all those failure experiences is that you're going to learn and you're going to become better. It's going to help you with the next set of things you're going to do. There are a lot of questions that you're going to ask someone who has failed at a startup, right? It's I wouldn't consider failure as a bad thing. I would consider it as an attempt in learning. It's really helpful. It helps you grow. It helps you take feedback. It helps you keep pushing yourself further. So attend meetups like DevFest, like the Google Developers Meetups. There are a couple of them. If you just go to gdg.com, there are a lot of hackathons that happens within your local cities as well, in Accra, in Lagos, in Abuja. The first set of money you're going to make would most likely be from hackathons, and you need to push yourself out there. If you don't constantly research and join these networks and these communities, you won't even know that the hackathons are happening in the first places. So you need to go out as much as possible, as much as you're building. Then you need to leverage platforms like LinkedIn and GitHub to connect. You need to so if you are starting like a technical writer journey like Sophia did many years ago, you would need to start putting out articles, just showing up every day. Just imagine someone who made a tweet every single day since 2018. Trust me, I guess the person would have at least 5 followers now. I mean, it's progress, even if it's 5 followers. It's better than someone who never started in any way, right? Regardless of what it seems like, identify what you want to do and do it, right? And finding mentors might be most difficult part because naturally people in the tech ecosystem are always very busy and they will almost not reply you when you send them a DM. But one thing is that you need to first establish some form of relationship with whoever you're trying to be mentors with. It could be it could start from just a casual friendship to asking them to be your mentor. It's very helpful if you sometimes come up straight or if you sometimes come up as someone who just wants to be a passive mentor to you. Then from there you can become an active mentor because taking up a mentorship for someone else is always something that is very time demanding and also is something you commit into. So you would most likely want that person to be someone you look up to or someone you think of as a friend. I know within your circle, you have that person that motivated you to learn tech. That person is your first mentor. I would say my first mentor was my ICT tutor in secondary school. And till date, I'll still consider him my tech mentor. Not because he's working at Google or not because he has a successful career, but because he motivated me to that point where I could automatically think that, okay, I can do the impossible. Your mentor doesn't have to be someone who is way, way, way better than you or who is way, way, way of many expertise as you would think about, but it's essentially just someone who will keep pushing you to do the best or to try to be that. You can be better than your mentor. You don't have to think or look down at the person who introduced you into tech as, nah, you can't be my mentor. You are not where I want to be yet. Not necessarily. You would have that mindset as, oh, okay, it's a growth mindset. Just think about it as the person who introduced you into it. Let the person guide you on the first spaces. Then from there, you can build meaningful work relationships with other industry experts that can help you in the long run, then that would help you grow. And from there, you can navigate your choppy waters of tech. Yeah, I guess. So developing soft skills, I did talk about that. So this is a funny meme of when their profile is on private, but you're trying to save the out. Okay, yeah. So you need to try to text people, learn how to code mail, learn how to code text people, learn how to communicate as much as you can, because it's very helpful. If you don't communicate, it's like when you don't share your problems. I don't know that anything is happening, And thank God we all listen and we don't judge these days. But either ways, you need to communicate effectively. You need to be analytical. You need to take courses on soft skills, because as much as your technical skills are good and will land you the interviews, your soft skills is what will see you through it, right? If you don't have good soft skills, you most likely struggle through the journey and it's just going to be choppy. So like I say, think about your journey that you're starting as one which is like a problem-solving scheme first off. You can think, for example, and look at the job market. If your sole purpose is employment, and say, okay, what is one thing that... So a friend recently did something that was really inspiring to me. He started a YouTube channel and he was creating content just relating to the Brazilian market. And this was someone based in Nigeria. And he was essentially reacting to videos in the Brazilian music videos and all that. He was Portuguese Brazilian, and then he was, speaking English to react to it. And then that got over like 60,000 subscribers within like 2 months. And that was really crazy, because you wouldn't think that you would want to export your skills to Brazil to start making videos, like start reacting. Why would you want to do that? But he thought out of the box and he thought about what's a better paying market, what's niche, what's people not doing. And he said, okay, react to Brazilian music. That sounds very nice and good. And then he pushed through to it. So you can think about that in the technical powers world and think about what skill gap do we currently have. We have very few technical PMs. We have few iOS developers. We have few software architects. We have a lot of spaces that are less cluttered in tech, and we have spaces that are so cluttered. So you can start by filtering through the less cluttered places if your sole purpose is like looking at the job market and try to think about how to go through that place. It details towards thinking about things like markets that you want to work and the kind of roles that are available in those markets, right? And then pushing through it is also very effective. So it's like learning Alibaba Cloud because you want to work for an Asian company. No, not so that's like an employment reason, right? So it goes to those particular touch points as well. So problem-solving mindsets, and yeah, good to go. So I want us to keep this within time, so I wouldn't repeat as much as I can. Yeah, most importantly, give back to the community. The best way to learn is to teach. The first role I had, or the first job I had, was also to teach. So when you teach, you're going to learn more, right? Regardless of whether you just learned HTML or you just learned JavaScript and you've not gone beyond Module 5, create a group chat and teach people. You would notice that you will go to Module 8 because you are now teaching people. So teaching sometimes can be a motivator to learning more. It's like when you have people that you are learning with, the learning is just more seamless and easier than when you are doing it in isolation. So volunteer to teach, mentor others. You can start by going to like local community secondary schools around you and say, hey, you started an initiative, Kids That Code. And guess what? You just know just JS. What would happen within that course is that you would want to push yourself to know more, because you won't want to be asked questions that you can't answer. So you would learn better and you'll be able to grow beyond what you know. And build with tools and resources that helps others grow. Try to volunteer at Google developers events as much as you can, and keep trying to look out for others. That way, your network is your net worth. The people you know today or the friends you're making within your particular ecosystem right now, the guys that you're starting off with right now in some 5, 6, 7 years, there'll be the engineering leads at the companies you want to work, number, whatever it is, OP, anything at all. There'll be the next guys that is going to like build stuffs, because trust me, these companies were not here 10 years ago when we started the journey. There was no fintech here. There was no these companies there. The guys that build, or the guys that are this company today, are guys that we learned together. They are people within network. They are people that we grew together or we went to college with together. So it is very important to think of your circle as one that would not only open doors for you, but is also your potential network. So try as much as possible to give back to it. And yeah, I guess that's gonna be it. The best way, yeah, I'm gonna leave you with this quote. It says the best way to predict the future is to create it. So if you think about a problem you have in artificial intelligence or whatever it is that you're trying to build, or whatever it is you feel like is the next step, or is the next project that we're going to be facing in the world, what you want to do is you want to be able to predict it and you want to be able to create it. It doesn't have to be perfect. The first version of Waze, if you know what Waze is like Google Maps, widely used on all of Europe. I think it's Waze or Waze. I call it Waze anyways. I think I'm wrong. Yeah, it's Waze. Anyways, Waze. So they were just guys that stood behind offices' desks and they were directing people on how to move, where to go, turn left, turn right, turn left. And they were in their rooms and they were doing this like over a call, and they could sit in an app. It was like an in-call app type thing. And that was like their V1. Today is the largest used, it's more used than Google Maps in all of Europe, for example. So just think about that and try to build it, because the best way to learn is to build and create the future you want to see. All right, so let's connect. You can check me out on Twitter or LinkedIn at Thakwanjola. Yeah, and thank you very much, guys.
Wow, that's massive. Thanks, Angela. Thanks a lot. That was a good presentation. All right. Yeah, so that was a good presentation, Angela. Thanks for sharing the knowledge. If I was a bit distracted, but I noted a few things as well. As usual, I'll just do like a recap so that we get some key points from his presentation. So some things I noted down. He said the motivation factor should be the impact you want to create. Most times people, when they want to do something, get into something, they're always looking out for the money. Of course, we need money, right? Everybody needs money. We need money to fix one or two things. But the best way to get money is to solve problems. So the motivation factor shouldn't be, I want to make money, because if you are starting out and the first thing you're looking out for is money, the money won't start coming immediately. He mentioned that his first salary was 30K, which is quite small, right? 30,000 naira, right? Which is quite small. If you are just starting out for the money, you are going to get discouraged because uh, 30K won't do much for you, right? But if you are motivated, your motivation is to solve problems, to change things, no matter what, you keep pushing, then stay curious and keep learning, right? So having the mindset to want to know more than what you know currently is very important. It's one thing that keeps you going, and is one thing that makes you stand out and helps you to grow fast as well. Then network and seek mentorship. I think this is coming again. So you have to connect with people who are in the tech, who are ahead of you, and even people who are at the same level with you, right? So you need to be able to connect with people in the industry, and you need to keep like-minded persons. So if you are learning tech, you have to, some of your friends, we are not saying you should have just tech friends, right? So, but you need to keep friends that are into tech as well. It helps with the motivation, and also there are times we need help at some point. You can easily find help. And then soft skills, you have to develop soft skills. All right, these are the few things I noted down. Thanks a lot, Angela. That was a powerful presentation. All right, so we are going to go into the next session, and we want to take some questions. So our chat section on YouTube is open. So if you have any question based on the two presentations we had, you can type your question in the chat section. So we'll give a few minutes for questions. If you have any question, you can ask. Okay, Chuku Victor says, time is a very huge factor in everything we are doing. What if you have divided attention? That's a very good question. Time is a very huge factor in everything we are doing. What if you have divided attention? Sophia, do you want to answer that? Sophia, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, what did you ask?
Okay, so someone asked a question. It says, time is a very huge factor in everything we are doing. What if you have divided attention?
Undivided now. Okay. But joke apart, that's a very important question, right? Apart from maybe divided attention, we are currently at a time where we have a lot of things to distract us. In fact, a lot of things designed intentionally to distract you and take a share of your time, and every one of them is fighting for your attention and all that. And unless someone else I haven't found an easy way to do things like that other than what my mentor told me, which is train yourself to love the boring things. Because part of the reason why we just like, if you see, but the honest truth, if you start watching an hour tutorial, it's boring. Yes, it's good for your future. Yes, that's where you're going to learn the skill. But like 10 minutes and you're like, oh my God, I would have been watching one movie now and just be entertained, or I would have been on TikTok watching some interesting stuff. But the hard things are boring, and you still have to do them. So I think it's just willing your mind and forcing yourself to do things like that. When you lose track of time, take a step back. Another thing that you could also do, because you don't just change overnight, change is small. You won't just jump from divided attention to super focused person, is use the Pomodoro technique. So if you struggle to focus for 6 hours in a day, why not start by focusing and doing deep work for 25 minutes? Yes, it might be small, but it's better than doing nothing at all. So if you start with focused work of 25 minutes and nothing else distracts you, set your Pomodoro timer. Tomorrow or a few days later, you take it up a notch. Try and do focused work for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. If you consistently just up your time a bit, you'll be able to build the muscle to do deep work for hours when you need to, and also like focus. So I hope that helps. Yeah.
All right, that's a good one. Thanks a lot, Sophia. That helps a lot. So just to add a little to what Sophia said, it's actually difficult to most times focus on one thing, especially when you have responsibilities, right? So it all depends on when you are starting. For someone that is much younger, let's say you are in your teenage age, of course, you can actually have a bit more focus because at that point you don't have like so many things happening. And if you are still in your teenage age, I would say that's the best time. Like you have to maximize that opportunity, because the older you grow, the more responsibilities come your way and you become more engaged with other things. There are things that come your way that you can't let go, right? Even if you want to like focus on something, for instance, you want to develop a tech skills. If you are around, let's say 30, you have responsibilities, you have other persons that are looking up to you. So there's that urge to be able to still work and make money while you are learning and all that. So that at times it depends on the age and some scenarios or situation, you may not be able to cut off completely from other things, but it's important for you to know what a distraction is. Let me give a practical example. I started learning tech, or I got into tech after my secondary school. Right, and as at then I was quite younger. I think I was around 18 or so. So I, um, at that age, there are a lot of things that could become distraction. For me, back then was football. See, today, most persons that are close to me know that I don't watch football, but from the beginning, like before then, like before I got into tech, I was actually a Chelsea fan, and I used to watch football and all that. I'm not saying football is bad. Of course, you can watch football, but for me, I saw football as a distraction, right? And when I started going into tech, I started learning tech. I knew I had to cut off so that I'll be able to give my full attention to what I was learning. So, and these are some of the things you can cut off, but there are some things that will still be there. But the most important thing is you have to be disciplined, right? So you have to discipline yourself because when you have many things going on, there is that possibility of um, one thing suffering, right? So for many days, you may not learn, which is very bad, especially when you are beginning. So being able to discipline yourself such that you can dedicate time, let's say 3 hours, that every day, 3 hours, you are learning something new in tech. That could be there. And if for any reason you miss, you try as much as possible, you make up for the lost time. Right. So discipline is one thing that keeps you going, especially when you have a lot of things on your table and that you cannot let go. All right. So that's in addition to what Sophia said. I don't know if there's any other question. Okay. How do we avoid burnout? Like, what do you do? Okay, that's a good one as well. How do we avoid burnout? Like, what do you do? What do you do to avoid burnouts? Angela, can you answer that for us?
Yeah, sorry, could you take that again?
Yes. Yeah. So the question says, how do we avoid burnout? Like, what question?
Okay, so burnout, big topic, huh? But yeah, the key to avoiding burnout is to not get too worried about what you can't control, right? And it sometimes I always think about it from having it might sound cliche, but I would say having some sort of a stoic mindset. So a stoic mindset thinks about thinking or focusing on things that are within your control and leaving things that are out of your control out of grasp. I understand how taxing startups can be, specifically in local market like West African markets, how demanding the jobs can get and how unrealistic sometimes expectations can grow. But one thing you need to constantly do to avoid burnout is that what you don't have control over, don't worry about, don't bother yourself too much about it. Because that way, you're not even going to be in your best frame of mind to do the work. So if you're not in your best frame of mind to do the work, there's no way forward. You will just be burning out and be having something they call supposedly imposter syndrome. And talking about imposter syndrome is like saying, you know what you're doing, but all of a sudden you just feel like you don't know what you're doing anymore, and then your whole career is a sharp, anyways. But the most effective way is to always keep things that are within your control, within your thoughts. Things that are out of your control, keep them out of your thoughts. Fraud is burning or whatever it is. If it's something that is out of your control, keep it out of your thoughts. You're not getting fired because of that. It's not your own headache. And if you're getting burned out because of many things, it's always okay to take a break sometimes and just breathe and relax. Sometimes the quickest bugs that we solved after years of writing the code were bugs that we went to after hours of resting. I think Lawrence can relate to this better. Sometimes when you stay on that particular problem for more than 10 hours, trust me, it's just a single block, but you're not going to see it. Sometimes you need to relax, sometimes you need to take a breath and just come back, right? As much as you want to get the work done, you want to uphold high standards, you want to build the best systems, you also need to consider a very important thing, which is your mental health and your sanity. If you don't have that in place, always take a break or step away from those type of opportunities.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's very important. Yeah, so you shouldn't beat yourself up on concerning things that you cannot control, things that are out of your control. Of course, you should strive to do your best, but there's something I always tell myself, right? When it comes to work, I normally say that if I drop dead today, life will still go on. So whatever project I was working on and maybe I overworked and maybe whatever happened, the person will still find someone else to continue and life still continues, right? So you have to be able to create a balance in as much as you want to give in your best, you want to solve problems, you want to ensure that you're advancing your career and all that, but know that your health is a priority. It's very important that you pay attention to your health and other things like exercising and workout, such things, they help as well. Being able to sleep. As developers, sometimes when you have a bug, you want to just fix it. Like by all means, you must fix this before leaving. That's it. Now, sometimes stress could also contribute to why you are not able to fix a problem. All right. So sometimes what you need is just to go and sleep. There are some bugs I was able to find a solution to by just going to bed. And maybe when I woke up, when I have situations like that, I go to bed and when I wake up, I don't just stand up and go to my workspace and start working. When I wake up, I'm still in bed, but I'm trying to like think about the problem. Okay, what could be the issue, right? I'm still like I'm kind of like debugging this thing, the code in my head. I'm thinking about it, and somehow I'll find a solution. I just go to my system, try it, and it works. So, but if I was like trying to solve it by all means, maybe I wouldn't have been able to do that. So it's something I learned over time, right? When I started, it was difficult to like solve bugs, fix bugs, and all that, but I got that trick and it's something I've been applying and it helps. When I've tried and tried and it's not working, I just leave it and I'm doing other things. As I'm doing other things, somehow the solution might just click and I'll go fix it and life goes on. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, let's take the next question. This one is directed to Sophia. This question says, I would love to ask Sophia, what would you advise someone starting out in product management? What will you advise someone starting out in product management? And does Talent Factory offer product management? Yes, I will answer the last part. Talent Factory offers product management. Yeah, so you can learn product management on Talent Factory. We have expert instructors who are willing and ready to put you through in product management. So I know Sophia is a software engineer, but I don't know if you can answer that. The question is actually to you.
Oh yeah, I can. So I'm also a technical product manager. But
Oh,
yeah, so I don't think it's a hot take, but it's something I often say, and I do hope that the person intending to become a product manager has some level of work experience already. Because, product management by design is a managerial role, right? You're supposed to like typically manage the products for the company. So normally when people say, oh, they want to learn product management, again, this might not be the person's reason, but part of the reason I hear is, oh, it seems to be the easier part of tech. I won't have to write code. So consider all these things real well. If you can also talk in depth, I think Talent Factory will have like, I don't know if you guys will have maybe consultation sessions where people really decide like, okay, if I want to go into this and that. So basically product management is a good track. So I'm not saying it's not a good track to explore, but there are some prerequisites you need to have. You need to have like some form of existing work experience. And the reason is this: because of what product management is, there is limited entry level role for product. In fact, when you see entry level role for PM, the stakes are still high, right? They would still want you to have some existing work experience, if not in product management, obviously, because you're just a beginner, but something that ties to it, right? Thankfully, there's something being done currently that a few companies and organizations actively trying to create programs that accommodate PMs, but not a lot of them. People that find it easy to really grow fast in that career are those that have, maybe you're a software engineer, you're transitioning, or you have experience working somewhere and then you're transitioning. Other than that, I think it's a very good track to explore. You would be able to succeed well in it if you're able to do the work. Another thing that I've seen people do and succeed, so you need to prepare for that. If you're an absolute beginner and you want to do PM, is prepare for your first 2, almost 3 years for you to be leading products that you create yourself, or open source products to build up your own portfolio, because that's the tricky part. A software engineer can just go build a product. You have to manage a product to get experience. And if nobody wants to hire you because you do not have experience, you have to create opportunities for yourself to do that. So you have to be realistic with your obtainable timeline. And it's a very, very beautiful role. You enjoy it. I'm pretty sure you've already done the background work before you decided that, oh, I want to be a PM. So this is me encouraging you to go for it and wish you all the best. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So I will join Sophia to also wish you the best, and you are very much welcome to learn at Talent Factory. Our vision, as always, is to create a world where everyone is a master in their craft. Yeah, so we believe that if you learn with us, you'll be a master in product management. All right, so let's take the next question. Next question. Okay, next questions. Are there any practical ideas or methods you can suggest to build up your problem solving and critical thinking skills? All right, so I think I will take this. If you want to build up your problem solving and critical thinking skills, as a software engineer, I'm assuming that this person is talking within the context or asking within the context of a software engineer. So as a software engineer, if you want to improve on your problem solving skills, like we said earlier, practice makes perfect. So when you practice, you become better at what you do. So if you want to be excellent at solving problems, you need to keep solving problems, right? So you need to be able to identify problems within your niche or your community environment and find solutions to them. It's something I did when I started. Sometimes, even when I'm washing, I'm doing something else, I'm thinking of the next project to work on. And it's not just a project I should work on because I want to work on a project. I'm looking at something that addresses a need around me, right? So these are one of the ways you can improve on your problem solving skills. Another aspect or another thing you can do is to solve algorithm problems. I mean, questions that involves algorithms, right? So data structures and algorithms. So you can get such questions, such problems, and solve them. So just learn how to code, learn how to write good code that address problems, and how to think. Yeah, as you get to write code, as you get to address problems, of course it involves thinking, right? So you should be able to think. I mentioned earlier that when I face bugs, sometimes when I go to sleep and I wake up, I still like lie down on my bed for a while and think about the bulk I had previously. And while I'm thinking about that, a solution comes, right? That's not something that happened overnight. It took some time. There was a time in my career where I will have a bulk and it will take me like 3 days, 4 days to be able to solve. But these days, I hardly take like even an hour to solve a bulk. Like I can't remember when it took me an hour to solve, except when maybe I decided to leave it and go sleep, right? Like I mentioned, and but it doesn't take more than a day. So, but that's because I've been doing it over and over. So, yeah, these are ways you can improve on being able to think and solve problems. I hope that answers you. Okay, so I think that's all the questions. Very educative section. Yeah, thanks, blockchain, Web3 wave. Thanks a lot. Yeah, when should we expect the next section of the talent talk? Yeah, so the talent talk series is going to be we're going to be having it bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks, right? So the next one should be I think 14th of December. We are going to put out announcement as well. So it's important that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and our social media channels and handles as well, so that you are able to catch up with information when we put out information out there, right? So ensure if you are not following us, ensure you subscribe, ensure you follow us so that when we put out announcements, you'll be able to get them. So our next session will be coming out on the 14th of December. And just to know that our calendar for Talent Talk is bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks, we are going to be having this event. And like we mentioned previously, we'll be inviting experts in the tech industry to give us talks on different topics, right? So this is just the beginning. We will continue to have this series, right? Thanks a lot to everyone that joined. It's been an amazing session. Thanks to our presenters, Sophia and Angela. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for the presentation. So we are going to go to the next session. Like we announced, there's $20 to be won. And what we want to do now is we have a session for quiz. So we're going to take the quiz, and the person with the highest score gets to win $20, right? So that's what we're getting into now. So get ready with your device, your mobile phone. We're going to share instructions on how to do that, how the quiz is going to run shortly. Yeah, so get ready with your device, fastest fingers. All right. All right, so if you are with your device, your mobile phone, you can scan the code shown on the screen, or you can go to menti.com and enter this code 32923732. I mean 31. 32929731. So go to Menti and type this code, or you can scan the QR code here to join the quiz. So we are going to begin shortly. So we'll allow people to join so that we can get started. We'll just give like 30 seconds for people to join, and then we can get started with the quiz. Remember, there's $20 to be won, so put in your best, and we wish you good luck. Go to menti.com, type in menti.com, or you can scan this QR code to get started. All right, so I believe we have done that, so we can get started. Oh, currently we have just 2 persons please, we are still expecting more persons to join. We have 4 players ready. Yeah, we are expecting more persons to join. We just give a few minutes for more persons to join. Go to menti.com and type in this code, the code shown on the screen, 32929731. We are expecting more players to join so that we can go ahead. We have 4. Go to menti.com. Go to menti.com and use the code 32929731. I guess some persons are having network challenge. We'll be starting in the next few seconds. All right, so I think we can just get started. So you can just look at your device and select the right option. Right. We're on question 2 now. Read the question and provide the answer. So you can answer on your device. Okay. Let's go on. Next question. All right. Next question. This is just question 4. So we have, I think 16 more questions to go. Okay, we have a lot of persons got this. Nice. Okay, everyone got this. Wow, interesting. Question 6 now. Right, 5 persons got this. Great. Question 7 now. Oh, I think next time we're going to reduce the time. All right, so 6 persons got this. Next question. And let's get started. So the faster you answer, the more points you get. Just hint. Okay, everyone has answered. Nice, 4% got this. Right, get started. Hmm. Okay. Next question. I believe this one is quite simple. Wow, okay, we have 4% got it right. 4% didn't get it right. All right, next question. Okay, 5% got this, 3 didn't. Nice, next. Everyone has voted. Wow, everyone got this. Interesting. Next question. Okay, everyone got this as well. That's good. Let's go to next. A few more to go. Okay. So 3% got that. All right, so we have 8% got the right answer. The next question. Okay, 7 got the answer. All right. 7 persons got the right answer. We are doing well. All right. So we have 8 persons that got this correctly. I think this should be the last question. All right. Okay. Yeah, so I think we have answered this already. All right, thanks everyone. That's the end of our quiz session. And like we mentioned, we have $20 to be won. We'll just check with the results shortly. Just a minute. Okay, so hold on. Trying to get the result ready. So are we ready to reveal the winners? Sharing that shortly. Okay. All right, so this is our leaderboard and this is our performance. We did very well. So we have these persons, and from what we can see on the screen, this is the winner. The winner is Teniola. So shout out to Teniola for an amazing performance, and also shout out to everyone that participated in the quiz. Yeah, it was an amazing session with all of you. So I don't know who is Teniola on the call, but you can send us a message. Send us a message at the following email with, so you have to verify your identity. talentfactorytech@gmail.com. So type it in this chat section. So send a message to this email to verify your identity to be able to get your reward. All right, thanks everyone for joining the call and participating in the quiz section as well. It's been an amazing experience with all of you. Like it was announced previously, the next Talent Talk section will be happening in 2 weeks. That will be on the 14th of December. Invite your friends, invite everyone. Ensure that you follow us on our social media handles. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media handles to be able to get information when we make announcements. Right, so invite your friends. In the next Talent Talk as well, we are going to be having a quiz section and there will be rewards to be won as well. So come ready, prepare your device and be ready to win amazing prizes. Yeah, thanks everyone and have a nice day.